A goldsmith in Berlin held a coronation crown that had been placed on the heads of Polish kings for the better part of 5 centuries. The objects around him, orbs, scepters, chains, and ceremonial pieces accumulated over 8 centuries, had been appraised at 525,259 thalers. His instructions from Frederick William III of Prussia were simple. Melt them. The gold went to the Prussian mint and was struck into coins. The pearls were pried from their settings and sold. Some reportedly appeared months later in a necklace worn by Queen Louise of Prussia. The Prussians left one piece behind. It was steel, not gold. It had no value to a mint. That sword, the szczebiec, is the only original piece of the Polish royal regalia that exists today. It sits in a glass vault inside Wawel Castle in Krakow, 2 floors below the hall where it was used to crown nearly every Polish king for 444 years. Everything else became currency. The kingdom that produced those crowns lasted over 800 years. It created Europe's first modern constitution. It invented a system of royal elections so radically democratic that 40,000 men once gathered in a field outside Warsaw to choose their king. And it destroyed itself not through invasion, not through revolution, but through a single parliamentary rule that allowed any one man to cancel the will of an entire nation. The descendants of its kings are still alive. One is a former racing driver in London who sold a Leonardo da Vinci to the Polish government for a 20th of its value. Another served as Poland's Minister of Health. A third married the sister of Jacqueline Kennedy. None of them has any legal claim to a throne that no longer exists. But the sword is still there. This is how Poland built a monarchy, dismantled it from the inside, and lost it to 3 empires in 23 years. The Polish state begins not with a coronation, but with a baptism. On the 14th of April 966, Mieszko I, Duke of the Polands, accepted Latin Christianity. The ceremony's location remains disputed. Gniezno, Poznan, and the imperial city of Regensburg are all candidates, but its political trigger is not. Mieszko had married the Bohemian princess Dobrowa the previous year, and her faith came with an alliance that repositioned a pagan warlord as the easternmost outpost of Latin Christendom. He unified the Lekitic tribal core that became Poland, fought the Saxon Margraves, defeated Margrave Odo I at the Battle of Sardinia in 972, and around 990 placed his realm under papal protection in the document known as Dagome iudex, the first written outline of Poland's borders, remarkably close to its modern shape. His son Boleslaw the Brave drove out his stepmother and half-brothers, hosted Emperor Otto III at the Congress of Gniezno in the year 1000, waged a decade of wars against Henry II of Germany, briefly seized Kiev, and on the 18th of April 1025 was crowned the first king of Poland. He died weeks later on the 17th of June at roughly 58 years old. The coronation sword he allegedly notched on Kiev's Golden Gate, the same szczebiec that a Prussian goldsmith would hold 784 years later, became the symbol of Polish kingship. The Piast dynasty ruled for roughly 400 years. Most of those centuries were spent fighting fragmentation. Boleslaw III's testament of 1138 partitioned Poland among his sons, producing nearly 200 years of civil war, Mongol invasions, and territorial loss. Reunification was the life's work of Władysław Łokietek, a man so short he was named after a medieval unit of measurement, the Łokieck, roughly 78 centimeters. Born around 1260, he fought, lost, exiled himself, returned and fought again for decades before recapturing Lesser Poland in 1306 and Greater Poland by 1312. On the 20th of January 1320 at Wawel Cathedral in Krakow, the first royal coronation held there rather than at Gniezno, he was finally crowned king. He died on the 2nd of March, 1333, at about 72. His son Casimir III is the only Polish monarch to have permanently retained the title the Great. Inheriting 2 ravaged provinces, he transformed Poland over 37 years. He recovered Kuyavia and Dobrzyń from the Teutonic Order. He annexed Red Ruthenia with the city of Lwów. He codified Polish law in the Statute of Wislica, earning the nickname the Polish Justinian. He built or reinforced roughly 50 castles and walled almost 30 towns. The Polish saying captures it: Casimir the Great found Poland wooden and left it stone. He founded the University of Krakow in 1364, the oldest in Poland and one of the oldest in Europe. The university he founded would still be operating when the kingdom that funded it ceased to exist 4 centuries later. Casimir confirmed the privileges of Polish Jews on the 9th of October, 1334, prohibiting on pain of death the kidnapping of Jewish children for forced baptism. He roughly doubled the kingdom's size. And he died without a legitimate male heir. Mortally injured in a hunting accident, he died on the 5th of November, 1370, at age 60. Native Piast rule ended. The crown passed to his nephew Louis of Hungary, and on Louis's death to his daughter Jadwiga, who in 1384 was crowned formally as king, not queen, at Wawel at the age of about 10. On the 14th of August 1385 at Krewa Castle in what is now Belarus, a deal was sealed that would reshape Eastern Europe. Jagiellon, Grand Duke of Lithuania, agreed to marry Jadwiga, accept Catholic baptism, and bring his Lithuanian and Ruthenian lands under the Polish crown in exchange for the Polish throne. He was baptized Vladislav on the 15th of February 1386, married Jadwiga 3 days later, and was crowned King of Poland as Władysław II Jagiellon on the 4th of March at Wawel. The marriage created what would become, by the Union of Lublin on the 1st of July 1569, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. At its peak in the early 17th century, the Commonwealth covered approximately 1 million square kilometers and held a population of around 12 million, the largest state in Europe outside Muscovy. Its borders ran from the Baltic almost to the Black Sea. The defining Jagiellonian moment was the Battle of Grunwald on the 15th of July, 1410. In the largest battle of medieval Europe, the combined Polish-Lithuanian forces under Jagiellon and Grand Duke Vytautas crushed the Teutonic Order. Grandmaster Ulrich von Jungingen was killed by a lance through the throat. Roughly 8,000 Teutonic knights and soldiers died, and 14,000 were captured out of a force of about 27,000. The order never recovered. The Golden Age ran into the 1570s. Sigismund I and his Italian-born queen Bona Sforza turned Wawel into a Renaissance palace. Sigismund II Augustus, the last Jagiellon, commissioned roughly 160 tapestries from Brussels for Wawel, including 19 monumental Old Testament scenes, 44 verdure tapestries with animals and fantastic creatures, and 42 armorial pieces. He assembled 16 chests of jewels. He absorbed Livonia. He presided over the Union of Lublin. He died childless on the 7th of July, 1572, at Koniszyn, at age 51. The dynasty that had built the largest state in Europe ended because one man could not produce an heir. On the 16th of May, 1573, approximately 40,000 Szlachta gathered on the field of Wola near Warsaw for the first free election. The eligible electorate eventually numbered around 400,000 to 500,000 men, perhaps 10% of the entire population. Every newly elected king had to sign the Henrician Articles, a permanent set of constitutional limitations guaranteeing free elections, religious toleration, and a Sejm every 2 years, and a personalized set of obligations called the Pacta Conventa. It was, in 1573, the most radically democratic system of government in Europe. Henry of Valois, brother of France's King Charles IX, won the first election. He arrived in Poland in January 1574. He fled 5 months later on the night of the 18th of June, when his brother died and the French throne beckoned. The system produced giants. Stephen Bathory, Prince of Transylvania, reformed the army and defeated Ivan the Terrible in the Livonian War. John III Sobieski, born on the 17th of August 1629, became the last truly great Polish king. On the 12th of September 1683, commanding a relief army of roughly 65,000 to 76,000 men, including about 22,000 to 27,000 Poles, and the legendary Winged Hussars, he led what is often called the largest cavalry charge in history down the Kahlenberg, and broke the Ottoman siege of Vienna. Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa's lines collapsed. The Pope called Sobieski the saviour of Christendom. He wrote to Pope Innocent XI a paraphrase of Caesar: Venemus, vidimus, Deus vicit, we came, we saw, God conquered. The king who saved Vienna would be the last Polish ruler to command a European-scale army. Within a century, the Commonwealth's military would not be large enough to defend a single border. The system also produced the poison that killed it. The liberum veto, based on the principle of absolute noble equality, allowed a single deputy to nullify an entire Sejm by shouting "Nie pozwalam," which means "I do not allow." It was first invoked in 1652 by the Lithuanian deputy Władysław Syczynski. Of roughly 150 Sejms over the next century, about 50 passed no legislation at all. Foreign powers, especially Russia and Prussia, routinely bribed individual deputies to paralyze Polish governance. Under Augustus III, only one of 14 Sejm sessions managed to pass legislation. The Commonwealth's standing army shrank to under 20,000. The Saxon kings drained the treasury, dragged Poland into the Great Northern War, and turned the crown into a foreign concession. Augustus II, who converted to Catholicism specifically to win the Polish throne, allegedly fathered between 360 and 380 children, but could not pass a single law without external approval. The last elected king was Stanislaw August Poniatowski. Born on the 17th of January 1732, and a former lover of the future Empress Catherine the Great, he was elected on the 7th of September 1764, with 5,584 votes, while Russian troops stood stationed near the election field. He was a genuine reformer. He founded the night school, hosted the famous Thursday dinners, and attempted to modernize everything the liberum veto had paralyzed. He succeeded at the one thing that guaranteed his destruction. 3 partitions wiped Poland from the map of Europe. The first partition, signed on the 5th of August 1772, cost Poland roughly 211,000 square kilometers, about 30% of its territory and a third of its population. Russia took the east, Austria took Galicia, Prussia took Royal Prussia and northern Greater Poland. The Great Sejm from 1788 to 1792, with Poniatowski's active support, adopted the Constitution of the 3rd of May, 1791, the first codified modern constitution in Europe, and the second in the world after the American Constitution of 1787. It introduced the separation of powers, made the monarchy hereditary, abolished the liberum veto, and placed peasants under government protection. Edmund Burke called it the noblest benefit received by any nation at any time. I covered the Vatican's hidden role in the fall of European monarchies. And this is where the timelines collide. Poland was writing Europe's first modern constitution in the same year Pius VI was calling religious liberty a monstrous right. The Poles were trying to save a Catholic kingdom through Enlightenment reform. Rome was declaring those reforms heretical. The constitution terrified the partitioning powers. The Targowica Confederation of disgruntled magnates invited Russian intervention. The second partition, signed on the 23rd of January 1793, cost another 300,000 square kilometers. Russia took most of Belarus and right bank Ukraine. Prussia took Gdansk, Torun, and Greater Poland. The Kościuszko uprising of 1794 was the final attempt. It was crushed at the Battle of Maciejowice on the 10th of October, 1794. The Praga massacre followed on the 4th of November, 1794. The third partition, signed on the 24th of October, 1795, divided what remained, roughly 215,000 square kilometers. Poland ceased to exist. In total, the partitions dismembered a kingdom that in 1492 had covered about 1,115,000 square kilometers. Poniatowski signed his abdication on the 25th of November, 1795. He was taken under Russian military escort to Grodno, then summoned to St. Petersburg after Catherine's death, and lived as a virtual prisoner in the Marble Palace, surviving on a Russian pension and writing his memoirs. He died of a stroke on the 12th of February 1798, at age 66. His art collection, 2,889 pieces, by the 1795 inventory, including works by Rembrandt, Rubens, and Van Dyck, was dispersed. Many of the paintings he had commissioned for a planned national gallery now hang in Dulwich Picture Gallery in London. His royal estate of Lazienki, 76 hectares in central Warsaw, passed to his nephew, Prince Józef Poniatowski. It is now a public park containing over 9,500 trees, populations of red squirrels and peafowl, and around 100,000 spring-blooming flowers. The crown jewels seized from Wawel on the night of the 3rd of October, 1795 by the Prussian General Leopold von Reutz were melted in 1809. The Sterbiek survived because it was hidden in 1792, sold privately, and eventually returned to Poland in 1928. During the Second World War, it was evacuated to Canada and did not return to Wawel until 1959. I want to know what you think about this. Should Poniatowski have attempted the Constitution, knowing it would provoke the partitions, or was the attempt itself the point? The Constitution survived 14 months. The country it was meant to save did not survive 4 more years. But every Polish government since 1918 has celebrated the 3rd of May as a national holiday. Tell me in the comments whether you think a reform that kills the state it was designed to save can still be called a success. Napoleon's victory over Prussia produced the Duchy of Warsaw in 1807, a French client state of about 104,000 square kilometers, nominally ruled by Frederick Augustus I of Saxony. It adopted a constitution dictated by Napoleon, abolished personal serfdom, and collapsed when Napoleon's empire fell. The Congress of Vienna replaced it with the Congress Kingdom of Poland, ruled in personal union by the Tsar of Russia. The Poles revolted twice. The November uprising of 1830 began when cadets attacked the Belvedere Palace. About 140,000 Polish troops fought 115,000 Russians. Warsaw fell on the 6th of September, 1831. The Great Emigration of about 11,000 followed, among them Prince Adam Jerzy Czartoryski, born on the 14th of January, 1770, who led the conservative monarchist wing of the Polish emigration from his Hotel Lambert in Paris. He was the preferred candidate for a restored Polish crown. He declined. He spent 30 years working for British and French diplomatic intervention and died on the 15th of July, 1861, aged 91, never having returned to Poland. The January uprising of 1863 was crushed. Russia confiscated 1,660 estates in Poland and 1,794 in Lithuania, executed leaders, and abolished the kingdom's distinct status. The territory was renamed Vistula Country and underwent intense Russification. For 123 years, Poland existed only in memory, in émigré salons, and in the textbooks of underground schools. When Poland reappeared on the 11th of November 1918, monarchism was on the political menu, but never seriously considered. During the First World War, the Central Powers had set up a puppet kingdom of Poland with a three-man regency council. But candidates for the throne, ranging from Bavarian princes to Habsburg archdukes to Polish aristocrats, generated no consensus. Józef Pilsudski accepted power, and the Second Republic was a republic by reflex. The March Constitution of 1921 abolished noble titles entirely. During the Second World War, Wawel Castle became the residence of Nazi Governor-General Hans Frank. The tapestries and treasures were evacuated through Romania and France to Canada. Hans Frank personally took Raphael's portrait of a young man when he fled Krakow in January 1945. It has not been seen since. 843 artifacts from the Czartoryski collection are still missing. There is no recognized claimant to the Polish throne. The Republic constitutionally abolished noble titles in 1921. The May 3rd constitutions designated heirs, the Saxon Wettins, died out in the legitimate male line. After 1989, Polish law does not recognize hereditary nobility, but the families remain. Prince Adam Karol Czartoryski was born on the 2nd of January 1940 in Seville. His mother was a Bourbon princess, making him a first cousin of King Juan Carlos I of Spain. He was a professional racing driver and karate instructor, vice president of the World Karate Federation, and a member of the Spanish Olympic Committee. He has lived in London for decades. In 1991, the Polish courts restored the Czartoryski Museum and Library in Krakow to him. In December 2016, he sold the entire Czartoryski collection, roughly 86,000 objects, including Leonardo da Vinci's Lady with an Ermine, to the Polish state for 100 million euros, against an estimated value exceeding 2 billion. His daughter Tamara sued him in 2018. The Radziwills, a Lithuanian-origin princely house elevated to imperial prince status in 1518, were once the wealthiest family in Poland. Russian confiscations after 1830 and 1863, Polish land reform in 1944, and communist nationalization stripped their fortunes systematically. In 1922, Prince Antoni Albrecht still owned about 80,000 hectares. By 1950, the family owned nothing in Poland. Konstanty Radziwill, born in 1958, became a physician, served as a senator, and was appointed Polish Minister of Health in 2015, serving until 2018. Stanislaw Albrecht Radziwill was born on the 21st of July, 1914. He married Caroline Lee Bouvier, the sister of Jacqueline Kennedy, on the 19th of March, 1959, in Fairfax, Virginia. Their son Anthony, an ABC News producer, married journalist Carol Radziwill and died of cancer in 1999 at age 40. The Poniatowski branches survive in France, Italy, and the United States. Michel Poniatowski, a descendant of the last king's family, served as French Interior Minister under President Giscard d'Estaing. None of them have any dynastic claim. If you have stayed through the full arc of this story, from a pagan duke's baptism in 966 to a racing driver selling a Leonardo in 2016, you already know this channel covers the kind of history that does not get taught in school. Subscribing is how you make sure you do not miss the next one. Politically organized monarchism in Poland barely exists. The Confederation of the Polish Crown, founded by Grzegorz Braun in 2019, is frequently mislabeled as monarchist. It is not. It does not seek the restoration of any royal house. Its project is to enthrone Jesus Christ as King of Poland. The Polish Episcopal Conference called the idea illusory, even harmful, in 2012. A symbolic enthronement act was nonetheless recited by Polish bishops at the Sanctuary of Divine Mercy in Krakow on the 19th of November 2016. The party currently holds 3 seats in the Sejm. Poland has no comprehensive property restitution law. No general compensation has been made to descendants of the royal families. A Prussian goldsmith melted 8 centuries of Polish crowns into coins in 1809. In December 2016, the descendant of the family that nearly became Poland's royal house sold a Leonardo da Vinci to the Polish government for 1/20th of its value. The painting now hangs in a museum in Krakow, 200 meters from the vault where the Zakrzewieck sits, the one piece the Prussians left behind because it was worth nothing.